Hey guys, it's Coach Maddie at Forward Strong. I'm here with one of my clients, Allison. She has been a longtime client of mine since I actually first started at Forward Strong for about 2 years now. How have you liked the training?
I've loved it. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun, and I think it's been fun to especially see how the variety of trainings you've done for me, as well as like how we've adapted for different goals. So it's been um, definitely like one of my favorite investments, especially like last 2 years.
Yeah. Awesome. You've crushed it too. Like seeing your changes before and after have been really, really amazing. So
She's an athlete.
she is. What made you decide to start training, and what goals did you have when you joined?
So I think for me, I've moved a lot. I lived abroad for a little bit, and especially when I lived abroad, I didn't have access to a gym where I was at. When I came back, I really wanted to focus on health and especially just entering my 30s of what that looked like. And for me, it was also a mental thing because I knew if I tried to jump right into classes, I would feel intimidated or feel like I couldn't keep up and I would not stay consistent. And I knew if I took the time to not only financially invest, but as well as invest time, that I knew I was going to stick to it. So for me, it was just knowing I didn't want to spend my 30s like I did my 20s and be in a better place health wise, but as well as knowing that would be the way that would work for me consistently as well.
Nice. Yeah, you've definitely shown the commitment as well the whole time. What frustrations, challenges, or obstacles were you dealing with before you started training?
Before, I mean, I think the big thing for me, like first nutrition was talking about like I don't even know what fits my goals, of what that looks like, and am I eating enough or am I not eating enough, or am I even working out enough to eat that much protein? I think for me too, it was just moving my body and feeling better. I think we can all go on walks or, try to move our body, but actually like strengthening myself, toning up what that looked like. I tried a lot of different classes. I tried a lot of different types of, at, athletic courses, we'll just call them, at different gyms or different boutique gyms, we'll call it. And it just didn't work for me,
Right.
What that looked like. So I think for me, it was just finding something that fit for me because I think a lot of women get nervous about strength training, and in reality, like that's really what works for me and like my body type and like how I want to feel better too. Right. I just didn't feel good.
Yeah. You feel good now though, right?
I do. Yeah, I do feel good, and especially too, it's just consistently feeling good. Especially now, like even yes, the like phenotypically things are nice, to see the changes in my body and see what that looks like. But even just how I feel, the choices I make food wise, knowing that I'm investing so much in personal training that now I don't want to go through the fast food line. I want to go in like meal prep and actually like feed reward myself for the work I'm putting in here. Right. So it's just, I think feeling better, yes, physically, but as well as just like mentally too of what that's been like for me.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
Well, especially traveling for my job. You've been a huge help with that too, nutritionally. It's just, I travel a lot for work, and you just helping me with workouts or helping me with nutritionally is just like help me keep my goals even being on the road.
That's good. That's good to hear. What parts of the program, coaching, or support have helped you the most?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just adapting for me, right? I think, when it changed to my fun left knee, talking about, okay, like, my left knee's really been hurting. Okay, we're going to change and adapt. And it didn't feel like that big of a deal, and you changing programs for me, changing trainings for me was just incredibly helpful. And it made me, one, feel listened to, but as well as just made me feel a lot stronger in the way we were adapting workouts to my goals, as well as like maybe things I was struggling with physically. Okay. That has been one of the biggest helps for me.
Yeah, that's good. Good. What results have you seen since joining?
I mean, physically, right? I mean, so much stronger than I was. I look back at like, certain like lifts that I could barely do, or maybe weights that were really heavy at the time that now feel so light. So I think that's been a huge change for me. I mean, the way just, especially too, now that I do work of like classes and that, of being able to keep up in classes, and even, doing the high rocks, that was something that I never thought awesome. I never thought I was going to do. It was always fun to look at pictures, but it'd be fun to do one day. And if you would have told me, even when we started training 2 years ago, that like you'd get to the point where I could do a high rocks, like I would have told you like no. So I think too, like mentally, like being more competitive and be like, oh, I can push myself to do these things.
Yeah.
At 32, that I don't even think I could have done at like 22.
Nice. That's good. That's good to hear too. Yeah, and that was always the goal from the very beginning, is get you prepared to where you can go out and do those things that you want to do, especially with how young you still are. I don't want you to feel like you have that crutch of, no, I can't do this. I wanted you to get to the point to where you could actually be able to go do it, and
Definitely.
you actually exceeded, I think, everybody's expectations, but also your own
Yeah,
as well.
for sure.
I had faith in you the whole time. I knew you were going to do
Same.
great. I was watching you and training you and really pushing you. But
Even when you were watching me run?
yeah, I knew that when you went to that high rocks, it was going to be a lot easier for you than you
Yeah.
probably thought it was going to be. But that's really good to know
Little
that
bit.
the system is working and it's really changed you from the very beginning. What was what was your intentional goal besides, having better 30s when you first came in? Like, what was your intentional goal of going to the gym?
I think the biggest thing for me is just throughout, even throwing it back to 15 years old, getting into high school and sports. It's just I've always struggled just with consistency, and just not feeling good. Highs and lows of just not eating right or binge eating or not eating, and then my job is so demanding travel wise that I just was I'm so tired of just running into the same patterns. And turning 32, I look back at my 20s saying this is great, but I don't want to be 40 and struggling with the same issues and it being that much harder to make these changes than it would at 30 years old. So for me, it was just I wanted to feel better and then also just invest in my future self, as cheesy as that sounds, but it was true of just wanting to feel better, but also just wanting to really break all these consistent patterns that I had that weren't serving just me well, mentally or health wise.
Right. You feel like you're gonna probably sign up for another fitness challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna do another high rocks, or you're gonna try to go somewhere else?
No, I think I'm gonna do another high rocks because it was just fun and it's fun to do, and I'm not a runner, as you know, so I think half marathons might be done for me.
Hey,
but
that's okay. But I'm glad that
I'm
glad you're finding fun in fitness, and that's the big thing too, is breaking that stipulation that fitness is not fun. It is a lot of fun once you learn how to do it. And
I even think I got to the point, probably for the first time in my adult life, where I looked forward to workouts, where I wasn't dreading it or anxious about what was it going to be. Even my birthday workouts, where I knew you'd have a sweet one for me of what that would look like, but I wasn't. I was excited to be I'm excited just to see what I'm capable of today, and so that's probably been one of the sweetest parts of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. What struggles have you had to overcome during the process?
For me, I'm really competitive. So for me, mentally, it's been getting frustrated at myself or saying, oh, this isn't working. And I would say the in-body has helped me a lot because, I can get on the scale and be okay, I've only lost X amount of pounds, but then actually being able to see the in-body scan and see oh, but this is how much muscle you've gained. And for me, that's been a big help for me because I get really impatient and competitive. And so, when you hit a point, you're well, nothing's changing and I'm putting all this work in, but then actually see the in-body scan or even adapt we have of nutrition and see oh, okay, now I'm seeing a lot more progress. That's been the biggest frustration for me, but you've also provided solutions for that, which has been really helpful.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Now going into kind of diving into nutrition just a little bit and the in-body and kind of how you viewpointed any of that stuff as far as weight goes, what habits or changes have made the biggest difference for you?
I think for me the biggest one has been timing of meals. I just kind of winged it all the time. So I think to me showing me the timing of meals, especially when we were training really hard and doing a lot more cardio, of just what did that look like. And then two is just meal prepping. I hate meal prepping, but that's when I know the biggest difference of when I do and don't meal prep. So, and especially when I'm on the road, and work on the road, seeing customers for my job, of just being able to know where I'm going to be. So meal prepping, know I'm going to get this piece because I know I don't feel good, and I've noticed workouts where I don't feel as good because I didn't time my meals right or I didn't prep right. And so for me, that's been the biggest help of just, yes, the quality of food's a lot better. I'm making a lot better quality choices, but as well as what I'm putting into my body and timing of it has made me feel a lot better.
Do you feel like when we switched to where we were kind of really getting more precise on how often and how early before and after workouts you were getting in your nutrition, do you feel like that made a big difference?
Oh, huge, especially the workouts that are more heavy cardio. I mean, I think before, when I would come in fasted, I'd be gassed after the first, round of whatever, versus leaving here after, maybe there was like a 40-minute AMRAP we did, and leaving going, okay, I feel really good. But that's because of the way I timed my meals the night before that morning. So
That's good.
yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. What has the community, accountability, or environment at the gym meant to you?
I love this gym, like genuinely. And I've been to a lot of gyms. I've lived a lot of places. I've tried a lot of gyms, and there's been a lot of gyms that I've tried and the trainers don't talk to you, or they don't explain things well, or it's just a really intimidating environment. And I think especially when you come into wanting to invest in yourself and something as vulnerable as wanting to just invest in your health, the environment makes all the difference. And I mean, even, it sounds so silly, but even leaving, I think like a month into like working with you, and it was only you, and like leaving, and one of the trainers like saying like, bye Allison, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you knew my name. And so for me, it's just been nice of just even like the way everyone like celebrates progress. I think has been huge for me, as well as like trainers who like exclusively working with you, but other trainers like, celebrating my wins and what that looks like, and even like taking a few classes like has been so nice. And I think the environment here is so welcoming. They hold you accountable, and there's a lot of good that comes with that. But I think it's just such a really encouraging community that I've never experienced with any other gym.
That's good. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we always will support you too, even in the future, or any other goals you have. We're always going to be very supportive. What would you tell someone who's thinking about joining or starting personal training?
I would say it's worth the investment. I think it can be, how are you going to make it work, or time-wise, or is it the right fit for you? And I think you just have to try it. It's not as scary. And I mean, the longer you put off, the harder it's going to get. Yeah. And that's where I got to the point. And I just take the leap of faith, take the jump, take the investment, because there's never going to be anything that works as well as this that's curated to you, and especially to have that support. I've tried online, I've tried, online nutritionists or online trainers. And for me, like actually having that in-person, conversation every day, encouragement and accountability, it's just totally changed the game. So I would say if you're even thinking about it, it's just invest in yourself, because the further you put it off, just the harder it's going to get, you know, and especially a gym like this, it's just, you have a community here who's going to support you in what you're trying to do. And I think that's just, whether it's trainers or other people who are in PT, that's my favorite part in that 7 a.m. session when we're all in there, and just, getting to see how everyone's just crushing different goals. It's just been so fun. So just invest in yourself.
Do you feel like your viewpoint on gyms has completely changed since being here?
Yeah, I mean, my standard form is a lot higher than it used to be. Good. But yeah, I mean, I think you just realize like how important not only the people who attend the gym are, but it's just like the environment and the culture. I would say Fort Worth Strong has one of the best cultures of a gym I've ever seen, as well as just like how they design their workouts. You guys are held to a really high standard as coaches, which is just, and we can see that as your clients, which is really nice.
Good. Well, we're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this with me.
Of course.
So 2 years strong.
2 years strong.
Been kicking butt and crushing goals after goals after goals. Keep up the good work. Keep working hard. And then we'll see where you go from there.